Welcome back as we broadcast live from SEC Media Days. We are very happy to be joined by a guy that I've been talking to for a couple of years about the SEC via Jimmy Himes, who is a mutual friend, mentor of mine, and a friend of yours. You got any good stories about Jimmy from back in the day?
I can't share them, but yes, Jimmy's done my show in Jacksonville for this will be 29 years that we've done it
That's
together.
not possible.
Yeah, and by the way, I take credit for talking Jimmy into leaving the newspaper business like I did before him. So I want all the credit for that. Tell Jimmy that.
Yes,
I get all the credit for that.
I will do that.
One of my dear friends in the world.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy, absolutely. So, of course, Florida is one of the teams that's discussed about being second place in the SEC East. I don't say this just to be nice.
Yeah.
I've always thought you do a really good job of kind of projecting the SEC East, in particular, giving me a real good thumbnail sketch of Florida.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they're ready for second. Am I wrong?
No, Dave. I think they're off the mark a little bit. The reason Dan Mullen got fired is he didn't recruit anybody, and it's not a great roster. They don't have a great defensive line, which I think in this league you've got to have a defensive line. I think it's second only to quarterback. Yeah, second in the East. The thing with second in the East, after Georgia, anybody can be second in the East. I really like Tennessee's team. I love what they did offensively. I think they're doing things other people aren't doing in the league, which makes it tough to defend. I think Kentucky, Mark Stoops has built that thing. I think Spencer Rattler is going to make a difference at South Carolina. And if Anthony Richardson's special, it's still Florida. So I think those four can be lumped in there together. And I don't know that you go wrong by picking any of them second. I picked Tennessee second, and not just I'm on with you guys. I told Jimmy the same thing. I like what he's building up there. So I'm going to vote for Tennessee second, and then either Florida, Kentucky is almost a coin flip for me after that. But I think those four are kind of bunched in there together after Georgia for me.
Yeah, and I'm interested about Florida and Billy Napier in particular because, Frank, everybody I talk to says he will get it done.
Yeah,
he will get it done.
Yeah.
But they said the same thing about Butch Jones at the time because he had won everywhere. Why is Billy Napier different?
Yeah, number one, what Butch, Jeremy Pruitt, Will Muschamp, Kirby Smart, Billy Napier all have in common is they all came from the Saban Corporation. You hire someone from Mario Cristobal at Miami. You hire someone from the Saban Corporation who builds these gigantic staffs and these great facilities and recruit all the good players and win all the games. Well, when Georgia hired Kirby Smart from the Saban Corporation, it worked. Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt and Will Muschamp didn't. So we'll see. But yeah, he's a really good recruiter. He's very organized, Dave. His attention to detail is second to none. The first thing Florida had to do is they had to get that logo on. When the kids say this is my top 5, my top 10, well, the Florida logo wasn't showing up. So now the logo is on the top 10. The next thing is to get them to visit. Well, now they're starting to visit. Now, that doesn't mean they're signing with Florida yet, but I think he's on schedule. I don't know how good they'll be this year, but it appears as though he's on schedule to kind of rebuild that thing the way it was built once upon a time. I do believe that.
So I always ask questions about the NIL because I think it's very interesting. What is your take on that, and how do you think Florida has been affected so far?
Well, Amanda, the first part of that is I don't know what to think of it because it's an amoeba, man. It changes every day, and there's no rules and regulations. If you've listened today or this week, that's what Greg Sankey talked about. That's what Nick Saban talked about. That's what Brian Kelly talked about. Is we have to have a roadmap. There has to be speed limit signs. There's no speed limit signs now. Some are driving 100, some are driving 50 because no one knows what to do. So once the speed limit signs go up, we'll have a better idea. I'm glad we have NIL. I think players deserve it. I think we have to have some rules and regulations, not just whatever the state legislature in that specific state allows. So first things, we have to figure out what the rules are. After that, I think Napier will be good at that. I think he's a player-centric guy. He's a really smart guy. He's a really bright guy. So I think he will build the right infrastructure. Look, it's still Florida. That's still where all the players are. What has always benefited Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier and other coaches is there's a lot of players in Florida. And so when you get it right, I think they'll do okay. But it's a moving target right now. And until everybody knows what the target is, it's going to be hard.
Jaden Rashada goes to Miami instead of Florida. Reports were that Florida wasn't real happy about potential NIL deals. What did you hear about that?
What I was told was that Florida got concerned during the recruitment. They offered Marcus Stokes, the kid out of Nice, the other 4-star, while waiting for Rashada to decide. So the offer went out before Rashada picked Miami.
Let me make sure I understand when you say offer. Are you talking about scholarship offer, or are you talking about a financial
Great
offer?
point. I'm talking about a scholarship offer, although I think they probably all run together now.
Okay.
But I'm talking about they offered the quarterback they're taking is a kid named Marcus Stokes out of Nice, who might be really good. He was an Elite 11 kid too. I think something during the recruitment of Rashada got uncomfortable for Florida. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the NIL thing. Maybe they realized Miami was going to out NIL them, and maybe that's what made them uncomfortable. But something got uncomfortable for them. They offered Stokes. Remember, he was committed to Penn State. He's a good player. And they were trying to flip him from Penn State. And the offer went out before Rashada had decided. So I think Florida either knew they weren't getting Rashada or were so close to knowing that they offered Marcus Stokes. So I think at the end of the day, I don't think Florida and Rashada, I think both of them were okay with the fact that it went a different direction. I'm not just covering for Florida.
No,
I know for a fact they offered Marcus Stokes before Rashada decided. And they were only taking one quarterback. And that I do know.
I think it's hard to compete with Miami on the NIL level, especially when you have people like The Rock tweeting out to Francis Maligoa about welcome to Miami and things like that. As far as Florida is concerned, I know quarterback has been kind of questionable there. Who do you see starting and potentially holding on to that job?
Well, Anthony Richardson will be their quarterback. The question becomes, how good is he? Some people think he might be Cam Newton. Other people think, well, he hadn't played. You don't know what to think. How good they are will come down to how good he is. If Anthony Richardson's their guy, like really, and is really good, then they got a chance. He's a special talent now, Amanda. He is 6'4", 240, one of the fastest players literally one of the fastest players on the team. Big arm, was very good at the Manning camp. But how well will he process game in and game out, play in and play out? That's really the key to their season. It really is.
When you talk about Florida and where they stand now in the state and in the SEC East, obviously Tennessee got a huge gut punch over a decade, and people maybe a little bit older than you may remember when Florida wasn't good before Steve Spurrier got there. So where do you place them in terms of overall programs in the nation? So we've seen what we've seen.
You mean heritage or this year?
No, I mean heritage. I mean overall.
I would say Florida is a top 10 national program. Now, I would say Clemson just got to the party in the last 7-8 years. Florida's been in it. But I would say the great programs in America today are Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. That's the 5. After that, the ones who most recently were at the party, Michigan, Florida, USC. I think that Oregon. I think those are the ones. So I think Florida's in that. I think Florida belongs at that party. I'd be surprised if they're not considered as such.
Your thoughts on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Those that are just college football fans may not know that you're the play-by-play voice of the Jaguars as well. Yeah,
it'll be my 9th year doing it. We'll be better than we were. How about that? Can I go with better? We won 3. We've had 1 winning season in the last 13, Amanda. So we're going to be better. Okay.
How do you feel about Trevor Lawrence? Just a question.
I like him. He's a good guy. He's down to earth. He's a regular guy. Doug Peterson, the new coach, will help him immensely. It's a great hire for Trevor. They'll be better. Doug's normal. The Urban Meyer experiment was a disaster. It was an unmitigated disaster. It's one of the worst things any of us ever went through, and now that's behind them. So I think they'll be. I think they'll be better. Are they going to win? Are they going to go from 3 wins to 13? No. Can they go from 3 to 7? Yeah, maybe. That's what I think.
I'm sure you could write a book on what went south, but if there is any one particular moment in the Meyer-Jacksonville whole thing, I mean, what was it that you said, this is bad?
The moment was the Columbus thing. They played Cincinnati on Thursday. He doesn't come back. He gets caught, sitting on the bar stool with a woman in the bar. You know the story. Everyone knows the story. That was the moment, but it was going south way before that. He didn't know the league. He was a college guy that didn't study the NFL, said he did. You could tell he wasn't in touch. Dave, he said one point, and I'm not trying to pick on Urban or pile on, but he said he at one point didn't know the names of some of the players they were playing against, didn't know his own players very well. At one point, we asked him, what are your goals for your offense? So, well, the goals are always every game, 250 yards on the ground, 250 yards in the air. I said, really? 500 yards, that's your goal in the NFL. Okay, well, you would set the league record, okay?
Yeah.
And they've only had the league since the early 1900s. But nobody – in college, if you're at Ohio State and you're playing Purdue and Illinois every week, you average 500 yards a game in total offense. Nobody does that in the NFL, but he just didn't. I thought that comment was showed that he just didn't know the league. So it was more not knowing the league, and he was hard to deal with. You know, he can't talk to pro players the way he talked to college players. It was a bad fit from the get-go. By the way, I was wrong. I thought he'd do fine. I don't know if I thought he was Bill Belichick, but I thought he'd be pretty good. It was a bad fit from the get-go.
Wow. Crazy story throughout the year. Frank, I certainly appreciate it. Keep up the great work. We appreciate your time.
Hey, guys, thanks for having me on.
All right,
Thank you.
Frangie. More after this, Off the Hook Sports. Follow us on offthehooksports.com.
All right, thanks.